Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to Queen Amadai TV presents True Crimes. Okay, so thank you all for returning to the chat. So let's talk about this nefarious story. Okay. Now, this is the Debra Evans case. So on November the 16th of 1995 in Addison, Illinois, Jacqueline Williams, age 28, her boyfriend Fidel Caffey, age 22, and her cousin Laverne Ward, age 24. They entered the home of Ward's ex-girlfriend, age 28. Her name was Debra Evans. So let me just give you some background. Debra Evans is a white woman who was dating a black man. Now, she had two white children. She had one black child, and then she had another baby that she was pregnant with that was also biracial by the black guy that she had been dating. Okay, so he and his cousin and some of their friends decided to go over to her apartments and kill her and steal the baby that was in her stomach. Okay, so Debra Evans was the mother of three children: 10-year-old Samantha, 8-year-old Joshua, and those were her white children, and 19-month-old Jordan, who was believed to be Ward's son. Now, this is the same guy who had her pregnant. So she was also 9 months pregnant with the fourth child and was due to go to the hospital on November the 19th, just 3 days before she was killed. Okay, she was supposed to go to have labor induced. Now, she had planned to name the child Elijah. Evans had a restraining order against Ward for domestic violence, but allowed the group into her home. Now, once inside, Ward tried to make Evans accept $2,000 in exchange for her baby. So they're trying to buy this baby from her for $2,000, and that's just crazy. Now, when she refused, Caffey pulled out a gun and shot her. Then Ward and Caffey hunted down Evans's daughter Samantha and stabbed her to death. This is her daughter, who was 10 years old. And mind you, she had an 8-year-old son named Joshua. So they chased down this little 10-year-old child and stabbed her and killed her. These are clearly demons. Now, afterward, as Evans struggled for her life, Williams, Caffey, and Ward used scissors and a knife to cut her open and then removed the unborn male fetus from her womb. Williams performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on the infant, and once he was breathing on his own, she cleaned him in the kitchen sink and dressed him in a sleeper. Now, these people are sick. First of all, who does that? You're going to kill somebody and then remove their baby out of the stomach with scissors and a knife, mind you. Now, leaving Jordan in the apartment with his dead mother and sister, the trio took the infants, Elijah, and Evans' son, Joshua, who was 8, mind you. They took Joshua and they went to the apartment of a friend of theirs by the name of Patrice Scott at around midnight. Now, Williams asked Scott if she would keep Joshua for the night, stating that his mother had been shot and was in the hospital. That's the lie they told their friend. Now, she also told Scott that she had given birth earlier that evening and would bring the infant the following day so that she could see him. Now, make it make sense. She's telling this lady that she had given birth earlier that evening. Why aren't you still in the hospital, though? You're just out and about. And here's the thing. They obviously have been planning this murder for a while, because they actually say that she was walking around, acting like she was pregnant, putting something under her clothes to make it look like she was pregnant, like doing this a couple of months before they actually went and took the baby. And because she knew that she wanted this baby for herself. So they had to have been planning this. And she was going around telling everybody that she was pregnant. Now, Joshua, who was frightened and cried throughout the night, reached out to Scott the following morning for help. He told her that his mother and sister were dead and named the people who were responsible. Once the group realized that he could be a witness to their crimes, they set out to murder him. They poisoned him, strangled him, and then Williams held him while Caffey slashed his throat, finally killing him. Now, this is also nefarious because the woman who had him, who was keeping him, Patrice Scott, when he told her what happened, why didn't she just call the police? But instead of calling the police, she told her friends who were the killers. So his young body was left in an alley in a nearby town. The murder of Deborah Evans and the theft of her unborn child had been a plan in the works for quite some time. Williams, a mother of 3, was unable to have any more children, but Kathy wanted to be a father and was pressuring Williams about having a baby, specifically one with light skin so they would look alike, because he was light skinned. It's all so stupid. Now, Williams began to fake a pregnancy in April of 1999. She started telling friends, that she was pregnant. She even had a baby shower and told people that the baby was due in August. Now, she then moved the due date to October, and on November the 1st, told the probation officer that she had given birth to a baby boy. But Williams was still without a baby, and according to her, Ward presented her with a solution. His ex-girlfriend, Evans, was about to give birth to a new baby boy. Now, with a new baby in tow, Williams thought her worries would soon be over. Her boyfriend was happy to be a father, and she had a baby to show to her probation officer as well as to her friends and family, whom she lied to all of them. Now, Laverne Ward, who it is believed led Williams and Kathy to Evans's house, was also the reason the 3 were arrested for the murders. Reportedly, Ward called an old girlfriend right after murdering Evans and told her to end her relationship with her boyfriend or face having the same thing done to her as was done to Evans. These people are so crazy, such demons. Now, the police investigation also led to Ward after Jordan, who police believed was Ward's son and was the only child left in the house unharmed. So that's what made them think that he had something to do with it, because he killed her daughter, who was 10, and the 8-year-old son was missing, and then they probably had found his body by then. So they were wondering why this little black baby is still alive. So the 3 were arrested and convicted. Williams and Kathy received the death penalty, and Ward received 1 life sentence plus 60 years. On January the 11th of 2003, the one-term governor of Illinois, George Homer Ryan Sr., commuted all death sentences to life sentences without the possibility of parole. Ryan was later convicted of corruption charges and spent 5 years in federal prison. Now, Elijah survived his brutal entry into the world. The baby whom they cut out, he survived, and they named him Elijah as she had already planned to. His grandfather named him Elijah. And so he survived, and in October of 1996, Evans's father, Samuel Evans, was granted legal guardianship to Elijah and his brother Jordan. And so this is also nefarious. Now, can you hear this? What kind of crazy, demonic, savage people go around lying about being pregnant and then will kill someone else to take their child so they can say that it's theirs, all because they told a lie? All so disgusting. Okay, so now I'm going to show you all a video of the interview of Deborah Evans' father and her 2 sons who lived. The one who was a baby at the time, he was only 19 months, and they left him safe. And then the one they cut from the womb, Elijah. I'm going to show you a video of them with their grandfather who was raising them. All so nefarious people. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share the video. Okay. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you haven't already. Hold on, people. I'm trying to see where this video is. I know I have it on here. Here it is. Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Everyone, please get the likes up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Please click the notification bell and the word all so that you're notified each time that I go live on here.
These 2 boys are survivors of an extraordinary crime. Jordan witnessed the moment when his younger brother Elijah was stolen from his mother's womb.
They just came and killed him and took out Eli when they were taking him out. He got stuck, and it was a miracle that he survived. That's why they call him the miracle baby. I think that is like cruel. I mean, she should go have her own babies. My mom was doing a good job taking care of us and caring for everybody, and
she was gonna have.
It's not right to take somebody's life away for a baby or something.
They misspelled that. It should say fetus.
Chicago, 1995. An investigation into an already horrifying multiple murder has taken a particularly disturbing turn.
In Addison, Illinois, police continue to investigate an especially gruesome triple murder.
When a pregnant 28-year-old Debra Evans, her 10-year-old daughter, and 8-year-old son were found murdered. Another son, 19 months old, was found unharmed.
It is a case that has left the small community stunned.
We are deeply grieved, and Father, we are outraged. We need to pray for the violence that has erupted in this town.
The allegation is that during the course of her murder, these individuals removed the live infant child from her womb.
She was full term. She was pregnant. She was expecting a baby.
Now, this is her father right here, and I want you all to pay attention because the baby that they cut from the womb, Elijah, looks exactly like him. Well, to me, he does anyway.
And she was murdered for her baby. They cut the baby out of her while she was dying. So she actually watched them while she was dying, cut the baby from her.
Debra Evans and her 3 children had recently moved to Addison, a small town at the edge of Chicago. Her younger sister Wendy lived nearby with her 4 boys. The 2 families were close.
Actually, the last time I had seen her, we had gone up to the mall to take the smaller kids trick-or-treating. She dressed up as a clown, you know, with like silvery, you know, like the iridescent, like the purple and the pink and stuff, hair and stuff. And I didn't dress up. And she always participated. I mean, she had her face painted and everything, and she's like mega pregnant.
This video is how the family likes to remember Debbie, filmed 6 years before tragedy struck. Debbie is singing cheerfully on the soundtrack. But behind this sunny video is a woman who had a tough life. Money was tight and she moved home often. And by the time she was 28, Debbie had 3 children by different men: Samantha, Joshua, and baby Jordan. Jordan's father was black, a detail that would later become relevant.
We come from a poor background, and even though Debbie didn't have anything, she still tried to help people. She was a very outgoing person, a very forgiving person. She was kind of had a lot of expectations of what she wanted to do, and she loved her kids. I mean, everything was her children. So things really were looking really well for Debbie, and her outlook was bright.
In the early hours of November the 17th, 1995, Debbie's sister Wendy got a phone call. It would change the family's lives forever.
So I jumped up and I grabbed the phone, and it was James, Debbie's boyfriend. Everybody else was like, oh, they figured, you know, when somebody called that, you know, she was having the baby early or something. And I'm like, hello? What are you talking about? And he's like, Debbie's dead. He's like, I came home from work and Debbie was dead. She was lying on the floor. She was all wide open, and I still just wasn't getting it. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, she was cut. She was cut. And I'm like, what do you mean she was cut? He's like, and Samantha's dead. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Sam, Debbie's father, was at the hospital taking care of a relative when he got the call.
About 5 o'clock in the morning, the nurse came in and she said, you have a call. Sounds like an emergency. This sounds like you need to take this phone call. So I walked down to the nurse's station and took the phone call.
And I was crying, and he's like, what's the matter? And I just started bawling. It was almost a relief. Hearing his voice made me feel better. And at the same time, horrible, because, how do you tell, your dad? And I told him, I said, Dad, I started to tell him exactly what James had said to me.
Debbie's dead, Samantha's dead, and we cannot find Joshua. And I said, what? Are you kidding? She says, no, Dad. And she repeated it.
He said he fell to his knees. It was probably, that phone call was probably the most painful thing I've ever had to do. Especially with us being so close.
I can't imagine, and I can't express just how I felt, but it was totally devastating.
The police found 10-year-old Samantha's body in her bedroom. She had been stabbed. 19-month-old Jordan was found deeply distressed but alive. He had been at the side of his dead mother and sister for 6 hours before help arrived. Debbie's oldest son, 8-year-old Joshua, was found 48 hours later in an alley. He too had been murdered.
You could not have bottled up the horror that ran through my home.
A shocked America was left wondering who could have committed such a terrible crime. And what had happened to the baby? Police mounted a massive operation in search of the child cut from Debra Evans' womb. She had already named him Elijah. It was 2 days before the police had a breakthrough. A tip-off led them to a nearby neighborhood where a woman had been seen showing off a newborn baby. The source suspected that the baby was not hers. Elijah was found alive and unharmed in the arms of this woman, Jacqueline Annette Williams.
This was a cold, calculated, preconceived plan to kill not one person, but multiple people in order to take an infant child. It's horrible. I mean, it is about as bad as the human condition gets. It doesn't get much worse. It's about the bottom. It's as evil and as dark and as black as it gets.
Neighbors and friends at a makeshift memorial wonder why anyone would want to murder Debra Evans and her kids, and how the baby she was pregnant with managed to survive.
The question is why? I did go back and stood outside and just stood there looking at the place and just kind of relived it over and over again. Just try to understand what had happened and what took place. It was just kind of a part of something I felt responsible to do for the boys and myself.
She was going to, I was going to get out of her stomach Friday, Grandpa told me, but go to the doctor's office and she was going to have me Friday.
He doesn't know. We don't know the date.
No, because November 16th was the date that she got killed.
Baby Elijah survived for one reason only. He was what the killer wanted. "That's my baby," shouted Jacqueline Annette when police rescued Elijah. Investigators discovered that she knew her victim well.
The lady that was involved in killing her, Debbie knew her and had actually taken her in at one point with her children to help her because she didn't have a place to stay.
Jacqueline Annette and Debbie had much in common. They were the same age, they both had 3 children, and Jacqueline claimed that she too was expecting a 4th child. It was due, she said, at the same time as Debbie's. What Debbie didn't and couldn't know was that Jacqueline was not after a friendship, but a baby, her baby.
She was the ultimate con woman, and a fairly bright lady, articulate. She was very deceitful, manipulative. She was able to convince people that she was actually pregnant. She did everything possible to tell everybody, this is my baby, before the child came into the world.
This was not a crime that took place overnight. They didn't decide one day and 2 days later go and do it, or that day do it. This was months in the planning.
Jacqueline maintained the fiction of her pregnancy for 9 months. She put on over 2 stone. In the week before her supposed due date, she held a baby shower. She even registered the baby for state aid and named him Fidel Jr. after her boyfriend.
When Debbie was pregnant, she was pregnant by a black man, so the baby was mixed. The woman involved, Annette, she wanted another baby that was going to be fair-skinned because her boyfriend was black but very, very pale. She couldn't have any more. She already had like 2 or 3 kids of her own, and she'd had her tubes tied. And they wanted another baby that she was going to have that would resemble her boyfriend. That was the whole reasoning behind it.
Police arrested Jacqueline Annette Williams' boyfriend, Fidel Caffey. His family all came to his defense in television interviews, blaming Jacqueline Annette.
Annette was very possessive of Fidel. She was getting real big, so she told Fidel the reason why she was getting big because she was pregnant. Fidel told her, if you don't show me no baby, then I'm going to leave.
Fidel Caffey himself also claimed he was just a fall guy, but the evidence was all against him.
They framing us, we didn't do it.
The police also arrested Jacqueline's cousin, Laverne Ward. In a horrible twist, it turned out that Ward was Debbie's ex-boyfriend and the father of both her 19-month-old son, Jordan, and the stolen baby, Elijah.
That's what the crime was all about. It was about her and Fidel Caffey getting that child, and the willingness of someone to help them do a horrible, horrible crime. And that was Laverne Ward, who already had a very strained relationship with Deborah Evans, and it explains his willingness to participate.
The 3 of them just were a deadly combination.
They were all convicted on 3 counts of first-degree murder. Jacqueline Annette Williams will spend the rest of her life in prison.
What I really wanted to see was remorse from her. I wanted to hear, I'm sorry. No remorse. No, I'm sorry. Just cold, cruel looks, just, like, it was almost like, so. People say, well, don't you think she's just a sick lady? I don't think she was sick. I think she was just evil.
This case just defies imagination, and that's why hopefully it'll never be repeated. It's the worst of the worst when it comes to this type of crime.
Tusker.
Then all the other pieces of the puzzle started coming together.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there because that's like 40 minutes long. I just wanted you all to see that. And the older boy that survived, the one that was a baby at the time. Now, in another report that I read, they said that he actually gave the names of some of the killers. He was 19 months old, people. He wasn't even 2. But they literally said that he gave some of the names of the people that were there. Okay? The little baby now. 19 months old, almost 2. They said he could speak good enough to say a couple of the names of the people that were there. I thought that was amazing. Hold up, wait a minute. She may have nuts, but possibly someone was sent to do that because they didn't like the relationship. Let me tell you something, honey. Nobody was sent to do anything. They did that themselves. They did that. Okay? That woman wanted a light-skinned baby. She'd had her tubes tied after having 3 children. She couldn't have any more kids. Her boyfriend wanted a baby, and he wanted a light-skinned baby, so it would look like him. And so they wanted to pass that baby off as theirs. Now, the father, Laverne Ward, who already had, his name is Laverne. I know that's a female's name, but that was his name, Laverne Ward, without the E. But he already had the 19-month-old child with her, and she's pregnant with the second one. He didn't want to pay child support. So that was his motive. And she'd already broken up with him and cut him off and had filed charges against him for domestic violence. So she didn't want anything else to do with him. So likely that's why he didn't want the baby or didn't want her to have the baby. You know what I'm saying? So he pretty much told them, they all concocted this whole plan. They did it. Nobody did it but them. They all did it. They all did it. First of all, that little boy who they killed, Joshua, the 8-year-old, he told the neighbor, the friend, Patrice Scott, he told her what they did. He named the names too, but they just killed him, so he didn't get to tell the police. But the little 19-month-old baby, the one that survived, he said what happened. He told them the names of the people. And mind you, they said he was distressed when the police got there. He'd been there 6 months alone with his dead mother and siblings before he even got help. So the boy's father was in. Yes, the father was in on it. That's why he got arrested. That's why he got arrested. He went to the house with them. That's why she let them in the house, because the father, her baby's dad, he was with them, right? So, of course, she's not thinking he's going to come there and kill her, even though she knew that he had abused her before, and that's why she left him. But she, of course, didn't think they're going to come there and do something so heinous. They did it, honey. They had this planned out. Like I said, for months, that woman had been lying, telling people that she was pregnant just so she would have have it looking good when she turns up with this baby all of a sudden. I hope that the young blessed son of his amazing mother becomes a preacher one day, says Donald. Yes, that would be nice. But at the end of the day, the grandfather, he's raising both of those boys. And the youngest one, the one that was cut from the womb, Elijah, he looks just like the woman's father to me. The other one looks just like his father, Laverne Ward. He looks just like him. So, Lord, their demons have rubbed off on our people. May they rest in peace. Donna, I'm going to have to take your phone. Oh, God, she made up her mind to take that baby by any means necessary, says Melanie Brown. Really? I mean, this is all so crazy. Who thinks of this? But let me tell you all something. You remember when the detective said, hopefully this will never happen again? Oh, it's happened again. There's more stories on these type of occurrences, and I'll be talking about those later on this week on True Crime. So stay tuned. With that all being said, thank you all for tuning back in once again to Queen Amadai TV presents True Crime. Make sure you like and share the video, and please return right back to the chat because we have one more story, and I'm going to be talking about Kirby Revelis, who cut off his own sister's head right in front of the police. How nefarious. All right? Queen, I thought you was crying for a minute. No, I was laughing at Donna Sheriff. I was laughing at her. So with that all being said, everyone please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Click the notification bell, click the word all, so that you're notified each time I go live. And if you have not been receiving your notifications, please double check to make sure that you are still in fact subscribed to the channels, okay? With that all being said, I hope to see you all right black in the chat. I love you right black, Lillian beloved. Okay? Peace.